Guys, Spence and Porter looks like it's going to be announced. However, the fight's not going to be on pay-per-view. Wow. What does that mean? The fight's not going to be on pay-per-view. What does that mean to me? That means to me that Spence isn't as big a star as what it was made out to be. Spence, the only reason Spence, that pay-per-view did so well was because of Mikey Garcia. That means Spence is not a pay-per-view fighter. That's all that means. Because if after such a big event, right, you've just beaten Mikey Garcia in a fight that did quite a few pay-per-view buys, right? For you to fight Porter next and it not to be on pay-per-view, that tells me you're not a pay-per-view star. You're not a pay-per-view fighter yet. And if he's not a pay-per-view fighter right now, when is he ever going to be a pay-per-view fighter? And I think, this is my opinion, I don't think any of these guys are pay-per-view fighters. I think in the right fights, you can put it on pay-per-view, but I don't think they're pay-per-view fighters. I don't think Errol Spence is a pay-per-view fighter. Because like I said, if after the momentum that he's just gained from the Mikey Garcia win and the kind of numbers that fight did good numbers. I think they were saying 300,000-400,000, whatever. It did quite a few good numbers for that fight. You know, I didn't think it'd do as many numbers as it did for a fight like that, which, you know, many people thought would be one-sided. And it was one-sided. And it still did huge numbers. Now, that means that those numbers that were generated were as a result of Mikey Garcia and not Errol Spence. Because Errol Spence next fight against Sean Porter, because we know Porter's not a big name, is not on pay-per-view. So what does that say? What is that saying? That's saying that Errol Spence isn't as big a star as what people are making him out to be. And I honestly do agree with with Eddie Hearn on this, that I think pay-per-view in America is dead at the price point that they're setting it at. Because none of these guys have the star power in order to kind of generate the kind of revenue or the interest to get people to watch at that kind of price. So Eddie Hearn's right, pay-per-view is not dead. At that price point, it's dead. So maybe if they reduce it to $30, there might be a different outcome. But obviously then the fighters won't be generating. It comes back because you might get more people buying the pay-per-view, right? But you're probably not going to make as much money because you're obviously cutting the pay-per-view price at half. You could look at it both ways. So yeah, I just think that, if I'm honest with you, I didn't really think Errol Spence was a pay-per-view star. I did make some videos saying that, you know, he could build some momentum, but now hearing this news just clearly shows that Showtime don't think he's a pay-per-view star. Fox don't think he's a pay-per-view star. Because otherwise they would be sticking that on pay-per-view, wouldn't they? If they know that fight could potentially have gone on pay-per-view, they know it can't. They know that people wouldn't pay $70 to watch Sean Porter v Errol Spence. They just wouldn't. So, you know, they could stick it on pay-per-view and probably get 50 to 100,000 buys. But that doesn't do any justice to Errol Spence or Sean Porter. You know, they might as well put it on free to air because they could still pay these guys good money. You know, and more people will probably watch it. So it's not great for Errol Spence if he was thinking that, you know, he's this big shot all of a sudden wanting 50-50 with, wanting 60-40 with Terence Crawford. What does that say about his star power? It just basically says that he's not really a pay-per-view star. And the Mikey Garcia fight was all because of Mikey Garcia. That's why those numbers generated such big numbers. That's why that fight generated such big numbers, because Mikey Garcia had such a huge following. But that's my take on it. But leave your thoughts, guys. And guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video.